Mrs. Reed, Mary Ruth Reed. She was, I think, 7 or 8 months pregnant. And this man, white man, came to her house, and first he tried to get her to go to bed with him, and she resisted, and he beat her, started attacking her.
The struggle went into the field between two houses, and her white neighbor saw Medlin beating her and pulling at her clothing and ran out. And she and her children were fighting with him, and the white woman came out and she saw what had happened, and he eventually left without having raped her, but he had tried.
So what had happened was that during this time, some men in the community, this woman also had some brothers, had 3 or 4 brothers, and the men in our guard said that we should kill this man.
Rob said, no. Let's let the law handle it. So, and Rob really believed in the law during those days.
They brought this man, Louis Medlin, the white man, brought his wife and set him at his side all during the time the trial was on. His lawyer got up and said, "Judge, Your Honor, this man is not guilty, that he was just drinking, having a little fun." Said, "You see this woman sitting here at his side? This is the pure flower of life, God's greatest gift to man, this white woman. And do you think that he would leave this pure flower of life for that?" And so that was the end of the trial.
They found him not guilty and dismissed the case. At that point, every black woman in the courtroom was in tears and angry and ready to do something. And they took the accuser out the back door. They took them out the back door, and when we all met down where Rob was, and he saw what our condition was and one woman said, these people have declared open season on black women. What are you going to say now? What are we going to do now? And that's when he made that statement.
I made a statement that if the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution cannot be enforced in this social jungle called Dixie, it is time that Negroes must defend themselves, even if it is necessary to resort to violence. That there is no law here, and there is no need to take the white attackers to the courts because they will be freed, and that the federal government is not coming to the aid of people who are oppressed, and it is time for Negro men to stand up and be men, and that if it's necessary for us to die, we must be willing to die. If it's necessary for us to kill, we must be willing to kill.
To your country towards the United States of America, or had you abandoned America? Did you feel you were now a Cuban, or what?
Robert F. Williams, Afro-American refugee from racial oppression in the USA, former official of the NAACP, author of the book Negroes with Guns.
Presently, we must use whatever method in our possession. We must make use of the gas bomb, the lycan, the ice pick, the switchblade, the axe, the hatchet, the razor, the brick, and the bullet. Next year, we shall meet machine gun with machine gun, hand grenade with hand grenade, in a new spirit of meeting violence with violence.
Now, did you ever feel that what you were doing was in any way act of treason or unpatriotism towards your country, towards the United States of America, or had you abandoned America? Did you feel you were now a Cuban, or what?
No, I don't believe any man who lives under tyranny in a government can ever be truthfully accused of treason. Treason can only come when a man is entitled to the rights and privileges and he is protected by his government, and then he betrays that government, then he can be accused of treason. But when the government betrays its trust to its people, then the government is what is guilty, is the guilty party to treason. And I consider the government of the United States to have failed the black people in America in protecting the rights of black people and the enforcement of the Constitution.
So you all had shot. And from that day forward, you always carried your pistol.
Always.
No matter where you went,
Where
who you were with. So in some ways, you weren't listening to Reverend Rogers or Reverend Linton. They're telling you, don't be carrying nothing.
Listen, I said then when I like to got killed that night, I could have got killed. If I went on to the Carter, I would have got killed. And I said then, well, I'd rather for the police to catch me with it than the catch me without it. And that was my saying, and I stood to it.
Every time you marched, every time you went to a meeting, you thought you might get killed. What kept you going?
Because I had made up my mind that what we were doing was right, and if it cost me my life, I was just a dead man. I said, cause I'm dead anyhow, why I live? Can't do nothing you want to do. And so I just made up my mind, life or death, let it happen.
What is good, my people? We are live back again with another live broadcast on the forecast. Yeah, I saw my brother Oni was in the building earlier. What's going on, my brother? Yeah, man. So I wanted to come on here because I know I haven't been doing the Black History stuff, and where I'm at my point, I'm talking about, the Deacons of Defense, where we got to cover it. And it's a lot of interesting things, and we can never talk about this enough. So I kind of wanted to show, the history of Black people and the mindset that we had, and I wanted to do this, as a small form of the Black History thing, since but we're going to get back to it. But, I'm giving you a sneak preview of what's to come in a couple hundred years from where we are in the history lesson. Now, before I do this, and I guess I'll give people time to come in if they want to talk about this. There's a couple of things that I want to show, and hopefully Raw see this, because this is only proof of what she be saying, This is more proof. I just saw this and I was like, damn, like I had to show it. So before I get into what I'm going to show you something else. I'm going to be quick with this other stuff, because we're going to get on the topic that we're supposed to talk about. But this one is kind of more for Raw, This is a lot of proof right here, But check this out.
Tell us why we should invest so heavily in that.
Survival of the species.
Do you think
No
eventually,
question about it.
You think eventually we'll colonize other planets and we'll leave?
Not in our solar system, because there's nothing here that will sustain us. We got to develop the capability to go someplace where there is another Earth, and we know that they're out there. There's no question about that. They are out there, but they're a little ways out. Maybe 3.2 light years is the nearest one, which means we got to build a machine that goes a little faster than the speed of light, and that's going to be the big key.
And do you think there's extraterrestrials out there, Al, as well?
What?
Yeah, because Sidra is in the building. I don't know why it won't let her comment, or anybody who may be trying to comment that's in there. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I can't see it on my end. So, yeah, I don't know. I know they're hating. But, I'm just going to play this one first before I give it. I'm going to hurry up and play it, though.
Which means we got to build a machine that goes a little faster than the speed of light, and that's going to be the big key.
And do you think there's extraterrestrials out there, Al, as well?
What?
Do you think there's?
I've been asked that question hundreds of times. Do you believe in aliens? And I say, yeah. Have you ever seen one? I say, yeah, I have. well, how have you seen them? Well, I said, I look in the mirror every morning because that's what we are.
Oh man.
We are the aliens, but we just.
And he literally said the phrase, "We are the aliens." You know, I'd be like, "Yo, they are the aliens." He literally said that phrase. That's crazy. I'm saying Rob might be right this whole time. We never know.
Every morning because that's what we are. We are the aliens, but we just.
We
just think we're the thing.
We just think they're somebody else, but we're the ones who came from somewhere else because somebody else had to.
What up, highly favorite?
Survive, and they got in a little spacecraft, and they came here, and they landed, and they started civilization here. That's what I believe. And if you don't believe me, go get books on the ancient Sumerians and see what they had to say.
That's a whole different discussion.
Yeah, they ain't gonna talk about trying to go underwater. You know what I'm saying? But I guess they gonna go into space next. But he said they are the aliens. You know what I'm saying? You heard him.
We are the aliens, but we just.
Oh man.
We just think we're the thing.
We just think they're somebody else, but we're the ones who came from somewhere else because somebody else had to survive, and they got in a little spacecraft, and they came here, and they landed, and they started civilization here. That's what I believe. And if you don't believe me, go get books on the ancient Sumerians and see what they had to say.
That's a whole different discussion.
They'll tell you right up.
That's probably what we first messed up. If the ancient Sumerians saw this alien species and like, yo, we got to destroy this Neanderthal looking thing here. You know what I'm saying? Then we ended up where we are today.
Just blown that right open.
Wow.
Sadly, we can't get into that.
We're floating on the dark side.
Some of a video with injuries from car crashes.
Yeah, and this one other part I wanted to play to this video because I've been looking for this video for a minute.
For a very long time. White people.
Well, not this one, but you know, you see the damage and stuff, so it may or may not be true. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But it was this video here I was looking for, so I'm gonna just play this one real quick, yo, because I wanted to play this a while ago, right?
Okay, can you elaborate as to why specifically black guys?
Yes, black guys are melanated, and I want my children to survive, and I know that the only way for them to survive in the future is for them to have melanin in their skin. So that's the way for me to, you know, make my legacy continue.
Okay, I like that answer. That's actually a really unique answer.
All right, yeah, I just wanted to play that. And I do have to say something important really quick, you know what I'm saying? Because, yo, like, I can't stress the health thing enough, you know what I'm saying, either. And then I seen this video that it was hard for me to, you know what I'm saying, watch it. And, you know what I'm saying, this sister died after all of this, you know what I'm saying? So I wanted to play this, you know, because I was tripping when I seen this, you know. And we had Erica come on here and she told you, like, you know, when they go to they misdiagnose her, they don't give her like the pain medicine because they think that they lying. And I've seen this happen in my own life, you know, and it happened to this sister. So like, also it's important to go along with the rest of what we're going to talk about, you know, is to be fit in shape, all of that kind of stuff. But more importantly, to take care of your health while you can. The most important thing you could do is, you know, preventative stuff, you know.
You're gonna let me use the bathroom because you're invading my privacy.
We're worried about you, that's all, okay?
You're not worried because I asked you to help me and you wouldn't, so get out.
You need to turn the phone off, you can't record.
No, don't come in the bathroom when I'm in here.
Right, I mean, y'all probably, but, so she going to this is the video,
And you just sitting there doing nothing while I'm in pain. I don't care. I asked for the charge nurse. Don't touch my phone. Don't touch me or my phone! Get off of me! Get out! Get out! Stop it!
No. Now, this sister, she actually like died, like, cause she was like not lying, you know what I'm saying? She was in severe pain, you know, and, you know, she was asking for like help to the point where she was like, you know, pleading for like help. And, you know, they ignored her and, you know, she ended up dying or whatever. So, and then the police ran up in there, you know what I'm saying? And it was just crazy, you know. And then I'm gonna play this for this sister and then I'm gonna talk about it, you know.
This was the second worst day.
She passed away too.
At IU North. Yesterday, a Dr. Bannock, Bannec, wanted to send me home. You know, at that time, I'd only received 2 treatments of the remdesivir. He said, you don't need it. You're not even short of breath. I said, yes, I am. Then he went on to say, you don't qualify. I must have, because I've gotten 2 treatments. And then he further stated, you should just go home right now. And I don't feel comfortable giving you any more narcotics. I was in so much pain from my neck. My neck hurt so bad.
Yeah, and I'm gonna stop it, right? Because this is like real messed up. But this sister, this was her last post, and like one of the most important things, even of what we're talking about, what I'm saying, like is being in shape, being able to do some of the things, but most importantly to prevent from being in this situation or like your loved one or the next person, and that's why it's important to like do something every day, like walk on anything, because you never know what is going to happen next. And if you can't even, we already have super poor health stuff, you know what I'm saying? And it's not just young people. It's like, the seriously ill men, they left them on the street, you know what I'm saying? They threw them out the hospital, and that happens all the time, And the point is to get away from those situations, you feel me? And so I had to, what I'm saying, say that or show that, because like I'm like, damn, I could like a lot of stuff I don't mind watching, but I don't know. That's just crazy. So, make sure that you take care of yourself. Like Erica said, the most important thing that you could do is to make sure you maintain your health, so you don't be in those situations, and so that you are awake and coherent and enough to do the things that you got to do. You feel me? All right. So I'm gonna get into like what I was talking about, and this is just more on some like the educational stuff about the Deacons of Defense. I'm not sure everybody should know who they are. I hear a lot of people saying they don't know who they are, you know what I'm saying? But it's definitely real, because these was just regular brothers who said, what I'm saying, enough is enough, right? And I know there was a movie. I would play like not the movie, but like I was just want to, because my brother MD2 kind of reminded me of like the older brother. Like he would say something like that.
Get back in the damn car. Don't even turn around.
And the thing about a lot of these movies, right? They left out a lot of what really went down, how they was not able to get up out of the situations. You know what I'm saying? These brothers was not playing, you know what I'm saying? When the KKK rolled up on them, they ran them off. They didn't just like do that. They made sure they ran them off. And then, this movie here had, of course, the white savior dude. You know what I'm saying? Trust me, if it was a white boy doing all that, they would put him up like they do John Brown. That don't exist. You know what I'm saying? And this is one of the most important things to realize when you talk about this, because they were, I would say, a part of the civil rights movement, but they were not a part of the civil rights. They did it their own way because they realized what it took. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I'll play it.
You're out of your mind, Marcus. Shut your mouth. That sheet ain't gonna hide what a fat piece of shit you are, kiddo. Give it here. You tell your grand wizard, Pooh-Bah Dragon, whatever the fuck he calls himself, come down this area again, he gonna get a walk.
Now you boys should get the hell out of here.
Shut up! I'll beat your ass right now. We ain't like y'all. Let's get the hell on out of here. Just drive yourselves on out of here.
Do you know what we just done?
And I live to see that day. Phew. Thank you, Lord.
Yeah, I had to play it just because of that. He was like, you know, and I lived to see it. Thank you, Lord. You know, I'm gonna replay that, and if we ever did the things that we got to do, you know what I'm saying?
Deacons defending their church. That was righteous.
What y'all think about the name, the Deacons for Defense?
And the song he said like the deacons that were defending their church, because a lot of people think it was like the church was something different in the 40s, 30s, 1800s, all of that. They was deacons with pistols apparently, or shotguns at least.
Just
Deacons for Defense.
makes sense to me. It's a righteous name for a righteous cause. I like it. The Deacons for Defense.
Now why?
All right, y'all. So one other part, right?
3 homes burned, Marcus. 45 wounded, 35 hospitalized, 6 of them children. One woman was stripped down in front of her daughter. She didn't say what all they did to her. By the grace of God, nobody died.
This only works, Marcus, if we can the biggest Deacons they do. We lost tonight, but I know we can.
We reassign the men, fill up for the wounded, even up the squads. That's what we do.
You can't fight the Klan. 2 of my guys were throwing rocks at him. Rocks, Marcus, against guns.
We put more men on the perimeter. Put more men on patrol at the same time.
Marcus, we can't do this. Not like this.
You got a better idea.
3 of our neighbors lost their homes.
This is one night. This is what it's about. They're going to be losses.
Gentlemen, please. We can't go back. So let's all take a deep breath. I have us a plan. There's a gentleman I can speak to, an old army buddy in New Orleans. Who is he?
Yeah, I can see a
Negro
comment now,
Soldiers
Constitution.
Union. What we talking about, Otis? I'm talking about building up. I'm talking about real weapons. I'm talking about arming every one of us.
We're gonna give guns to a mob of angry niggas.
The white man put us to work. Out in the fields, in the factories, and down on the docks. Everything for 1,000 miles moves in and out of the docks in New Orleans. And colored men lift half of it. Bananas, cars, guns.
Always one, Constitution. You know they gonna blow us up now.
Oh, how you be?
Good, good, yeah.
Let's get these cars over and get the hell on out of here, huh? I can't take this. You give it to the church.
Sure.
You give it to the church.
We thank you.
All right, come on, let's go. Marcus, you better get over here.
CM60. Shoot 600 rounds per minute.
Look at these.
Otis, what is this? Weapon.
Now I don't know. I don't know if they may have had this stuff for real, you know what I'm saying, as depicted, but you know how black people do when they get those kind of weapons, you know what I'm saying?
What is this? Weapon.
What's wrong?
I've been to war already. I didn't like it then.
Marcus, same war. We can't use this.
Comes to it, I'll use it.
It comes to it, it'll be the end of the world. Into our world, at least.
No, man, you hand those out. I'm walking away from here.
I'm not handing them out.
Yeah, grenades. I think the way I'm talking about Otis. And one of them was named Otis, you know what I'm saying? I know one of their names was Otis something, you know what I'm saying, was in their name. So it may or may not be based off him. I don't know.
Put him down, Otis. Come with me.
Who had a case of grenades.
Gentlemen, we are not playing games.
I'm with you on this, Otis.
I'm gonna let that sink in one last time, you know what I'm saying, what the elder brother said, Otis. You know what I'm saying?
Gentlemen, we are not playing games.
Yeah, so let that sink in, you know what I'm saying? But yo, I'm gonna let this dude start us, like, because this is, you know what I'm saying, one of their CRT stuff, you know what I'm saying? But this is his message on educating us stupid black folks about the Deacon of Defense.
Ignorant, stupid black folks that are out there calling themselves Black Lives Matter or whatever other thing that they want to call themselves, not fucking around, coalition, whoever.
You heard that, constituent? Said whoever they call themselves.
Not fucking around, coalition, whoever. In protest of racism and such in this country. Now, I won't argue that there are not racist people, but I will absolutely defend the country, and that is not a racist country. And I've read the stuff, the 1619 Project, and that stupid chick, this critical race theory, which I've read all of that stuff, including the one from the author. And
it's crazy. He don't know nothing about what he's talking about here in this video after he's read all that.
Bullshit flag is down. Now,
listen,
some would try to argue with me to say
he's going to say why he gets to speak on this, consider, because this hit 2 points in one, so I couldn't resist to kind of mess with y'all at the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Because it is about the Deacons of Defense. So, but listen to why he gets to say this.
Have no right, no credentials to argue against that, because most people, when they see me, they think I'm a white guy. Well, let me talk about that first. I've been on this rock for a long time. I've been in the struggle, and those of you that have been around, those black folks have been around, know what I'm talking about.
Is it down?
Al Sharpton should be ashamed of himself. Jesse Jackson should be ashamed of himself, and still talks this modern bullshit about Black Lives Matter and these other things, should be ashamed of themselves, right? Because what has happened is you have reversed, you have flipped the argument, you have flipped the energy from what black folks were doing back then, which was peaceful protesting. Now they got their asses kicked. If those of you have seen the lunch counter and
now peep that though, you know what I'm saying? Because the peaceful protest where you get your asses whipped is generally, you know, what was pushed as some positive thing where, you know, you are responding to whatever, but you know and I'm gonna show you about these peaceful protests, because what they're leaving out is the most important part of any peaceful protest.
The lunch counter videos and so forth. But they were trained how to take a beating.
You hear that? He was trained how to take a beating. What the hell kind of
trained how to take a beating?
I believe in training how to beat someone and not take the beating. You know what I'm saying? If they get me, they get me. But at least I put up a fight, right?
Because they did get beat. And they got beat by white folks who were racist and angry at them for daring to get out of their place. Now, I've said this before, for those of you who don't know,
here we
I'm
go.
A black guy.
Consider it. He said, I'm gonna let you know. This is why he gets to speak on this. Consider.
I have said this before. For those of you who don't know, I'm a black guy, have been, and I don't get into this identity politics. Why? Because even though I'm high yellow, which is what those folks in Louisiana would tend to call me.
Yo, this dude has like, I don't know which Germanic or which European tribe it is, but his DNA has been definitely infiltrated. But as he said, he's a black guy, but he doesn't do identity politics either. So I don't even know why he said that.
Yellow, which is what those folks in Louisiana would tend to call me, right?
A quadroon
White
or
people
whatever.
always will define who you are as a black person. Forget all this. Today I identify as XYZ. Now, my great grandmother.
Yo, this is really why I had to play this. This is crazy, right?
My great grandmother, whose home is a National Historic Monument in downtown Richmond, Virginia, and she has a statue to her name in the middle of downtown Richmond, Virginia, was one of the people who helped founded the NAACP with the original crew,
Shysters.
W.B. Du Bois and all those guys, and was with the crew when they had to go to Canada to create the NAACP, because if they tried to do it in her house where they would tend to be meeting, they would have all been murdered, because that was the word on the street. So they had to leave the country to form that.
This is not your typical.
Yeah, and then they had to put the. But this is why I put it on here.
Look it up, Maggie L. Walker. Maggie L. Walker. Not the other Maggie Walker, did all the stupid shit for black women.
Madam C.J. Walker, he's talking about. That is now before, as he proceeds to diss her.
Not the other Maggie Walker, did all the stupid shit for black women to make their hair straight. That was stupid. Maggie L. Walker, Richmond, Virginia.
Ain't that something? Right.
So that's my lineage.
Now, I don't even know if every person from her lineage must have, like, you know what I'm saying, after, I don't know. But he said his great grandmother or whatever is Maggie L. Walker. Now, I don't know if what he's saying is true. He could be an alien for all I know. You know,
he was born.
This is what I'm saying.
Straight. That was stupid. Maggie L. Walker, Richmond, Virginia. Right. So that's my lineage. She was born on a plantation in Richmond, the largest plantation there. So I'm not going to get in a pissing contest with these young black warriors who think they are all that in a bag of chips, because you don't know shit.
I don't know if this is true though, considering, like, because he may be a mulatto of some sort, but that has been like a lot has been cleaned off. You know what I'm saying? His albedo is very, very high.
So let me come back to the reason for this video. What is happening now is that the anti-racism energy has been co-opted by those who would weaponize white or black people to destroy things because I'm angry, and you should understand that I'm angry.
All right, because he's trying to compare it to the Deacons of Justice and trying to Deacons of Defense and saying, oh, they have something to stand on, and you silly Negroes, you know, blah blah blah. Let me play that.
From that point, guarded the walk, and that's what they did. Guarded the walk. Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, Mississippi Freedom and Democratic Party, CORE, the Congress on Racial Equality, and the Medical Committee for Human Rights. They got together, formed a coalition, and continued Meredith's march. These black men, from that point, guarded the walk, and that's what they did. Guarded the walk, not the riot, the walk.
They were the riot. That's the thing. This is what I wanted to know.
No one was shot at. Yes,
And a lot of people were shot at.
were crazy white folks that were mad to black folks, everyone. But I'm focused on you black folks out there that are stupid. You have a Second Amendment right, and you have a
I thought
Second
he said
Amendment
he was
right
black.
to use as part of your First Amendment right to protest if you wish.
Now, this is important here. This part is the one thing that I will say, right?
You have a Second Amendment right, and you have a Second Amendment right to use as part of your First Amendment right to protest if you wish, right? And to everyone, it is okay. It is okay to let everyone know that you are armed as you are peacefully protesting, right? The operative word is peacefully. If you're in the middle, if your peaceful protest has now degenerated into what the cops would then call a riot,
Then because the cops called them a riot, that he's trying to use that.
then the other folks get to check you with their arms.
You hear that?
So if you are a black person and you're running amok through the village and you're burning shit, you're going up to people, you're beating them up, you're burning cars, you're doing any of that crazy stuff, and others are around protecting others or protecting other property, right? They shoot you in the face, you deserve it. So you black folks that are out there getting in front of news cameras and talking about how awful.
So if somebody run up on your stuff and try to hurt you or anything of your property is okay for they deserve to get shot in the face. You know what I'm saying? So remember that. But I'll let it go because there's a couple things he mentioned. And I played it because he was Maggie L. Walker's, so he claims. I don't know if that's true or not, but you see how that works. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know.
City officials.
The mayor at the time had a whole shopping center. Me and Nasser, we shut his whole damn.
Because he left the most important part of, even if you want to go the peaceful route. You know what the most effective thing you could do is where you put your dollars at. You know what I'm saying? While we've been looking at all these other businesses and where we spend our money at, that's what they was doing.
Shopping center down.
Keep the white man's dollar out of his pocket, and you can control him instead of him controlling you.
You would walk down the little downtown area, and the storekeepers, they've got comments. I've always been good to you. This would be the kind of statements, and they couldn't understand it.
Mrs. Murrow's Schott has run a dress shop in Natchez for 27 years. So how would you assess the effect of the boycott on your store?
Well, they haven't boycotted me. They only boycotted Natchez. And when they did that, well, we all are suffering.
Having a family department store that was owned by mother and two uncles, we all
boycott until the whites give in or cave in.
We mean don't break our boycott. We're not talking white folk, we're talking Negroes, our folk.
This is important here. And this is another purpose that the Deacons of Defense played, because it wasn't just all of these other things. They kind of enforced some stuff too, you know?
As a boy, I didn't quite understand it then.
The Negroes meet nightly to work on enforcing the boycott until the whites give in or cave in.
We mean don't break our boycott. We're not talking white folk, we're talking Negroes, our folk. We have a right to discipline our people.
A lot of black gonna ignore us. And you can't do it. This is for your freedom. I got one old preacher. You don't tell me who I can shop. I said, get him. He can put defense with self-security force, enforcers.
These enforcer squads would punish people who were going to break a boycott.
James Jackson. A lot of people feared him. I remember a lot of people feared.
See, they talk about all this non-violent stuff, you know what I'm saying? And then we're going to mention a little bit more of that. They talk about all this non-violent stuff when they showcase, you know what I'm saying, this civil rights stuff. But look how they enforce that stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like, look how they protect. You don't think they use protection? No, N-word, you ain't getting on this bus. I'm telling you. Because you know it's gonna be a few that's stragglers, like, oh, I was okay, you know what I'm saying, riding the bus. I got to get to Miss Ann's house to clean up. She's gonna be pissed off. But, you know, like, no, you ain't riding the bus.
Feared him. They said, he was a big man, and they did not mess with Big Jack. That's what they call him, Big Jack.
Ain't that something? What if like Big Jack was outside of the store with a 14-year-old boy got? I'm pretty sure they got whatever they got in building another Chinese restaurant or whatever off the money. But I'm just saying, like they play a role,
Feared him. They said, he was a big man, and they did not mess with Big Jack. That's what they call him, Big Jack.
Every day I got
A lot of them went to jail back then.
Consider you might have to go back to 1963 to find some brothers to help. You know what I'm saying? That's do our thing. I don't know.
And I remember.
The whack just wasn't gonna give in. Come on with it then. You know what we want.
But unfortunately, it's like what we want.
I tell the mayor and these. Once they're at Parchment, it's cold.
Yeah, listen.
They were stripped naked.
So after you peaceful protest and they got arrested, what they was trying to do, look what the police did.
Dead buses coming and picked us up and took us to Parchment, Mississippi.
Once they're at Parchment, it's cold. They were stripped naked. They were given a laxative.
They made us all drink about an 8-ounce glass. They said, well, you gonna drink this medicine or else get beat to death.
Drink this laxative or we're gonna beat you to death. In word, you know what I'm saying?
No toilet paper was given to them, nothing like that. They sprayed water on them in the cells so they froze.
They put 8 of us my side in one cell. We were there all that night, hear the people moaning, sick, asking for help.
It was torture to the highest extent.
I went up there, me and the other 2 deacons, we hung around on the outside apartment, trying to peep in and see what was going on, Well, you couldn't see because they had dogs running around, but we wanted to let somebody let them know that we was there.
My husband made it there to get me out. Get us, several of us out, but so many of them are still left there.
See, and this is the thing you got to understand, right? They children was the ones out here getting beat up. And see, these brothers was like, yo, forget that. I'm not just going to let my daughter get beat up by the Klan. You know what I'm saying? These brothers was regular brothers, and it was their families and especially their children participating, and it's okay for your children to participate if you're going to protect them. You know what I mean?
It was awesome. It was awesome.
They give us no explanation about why they're taking our clothes. They just stripped us naked and said we were marching against good white people.
Good aliens.
After the article came out in the paper about the people being sent to Parchment, some of the guys I played tennis with asked me, said, did that really happen in Natchez?
I think most white people convinces Mayor Nasser and the aldermen to negotiate. They surrender. They give in to.
All right. So, I'll go on to the next one. And this is the brother talking about how they was really put together.
The defense. If you read this Lance Hill's book called Deacons for Defense.
That's what I said, Cassandra. Yo, what up, Bukari? That's what I said. I ain't even want to interrupt just to say that, but the good white folk.
He spells out when the deacons were formed. They were formed one night in Jonesboro. Mike Les and I had gone out on the highway, and from Jonesboro to Monroe. And we got on the highway, 3 carloads of whites, beginning trails. And telling Mike, when we know about the three boys in Mississippi, we're just not gonna die out here between these two swarms.
Like, you ain't gonna catch me slipping out here, you know.
That was the night we played chicken with the Ku Klux Klan.
The Deacons defense wasn't that we were advocating violence, but we were a self-protection organization that defended our community. We weren't going to put up with the nonsense of the Ku Klux Klan and other races who wanted to, in other places they burned, murdered, and lynched, and we weren't going to tolerate it.
The Deacons were basically, just as I explained to you before, the ones that would
like, oh, we got tired of it, so we just got strapped up, you know what I'm saying, and stopped it.
Just as I explained to you before, the ones that would take these weapons and defend the citizens, and that's what we did for ourselves as well as for others. We would take it on ourselves to arm ourselves and to make sure that we were given proper protection, because homes were being bombed and burned, and nothing has been done about it.
I was more of a self-defense and protecting our community and voting, registering people to vote, and trying to make the system that we live in better.
Well, I would think the hardened part of the Deacons was like anybody else. I'd say that enough is enough. They are men with families, children, families as such, and they are men. They're not shirt tails, as they say. They're not Uncle Toms. They are men.
Cool.
They would do whatever.
Shirt tails, I'm gonna start saying that. Shirt tails is better. I like that one.
They're not shirt tails, as they say. They're not Uncle Toms. They are men. They would do whatever it takes.
All right. But yeah, my bad, because it cut out. But that's that's the thing. They was regular brothers out here. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, see, the thing is, right, the communities is a lot different, right? And it's pluses and minuses, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot easier to protect it when everybody's in the same area. Like, being spread out is a lot harder for others to attack you, you know what I'm saying? And things can be updated like anything else, like, different things that you could do, just exercising your normal rights, and it's nothing wrong with, like they said, as for justice, you know what I mean, like for defense, because who spends the most money out of anybody on self-defense? You can say Europeans, but you could pick a European nation. All right, so they realized that nobody was coming to help them do anything, so they did it themselves, and they protected their children who was out there marching. They didn't just let them get beat up, and they was going around teaching young children how to take a punch, you know what I'm saying? Like, and not hit back. Like, that's crazy. Like, no, the only way you're going to stop them from hitting you is to make sure that they know what's up, So, and this is the one, like, and the original one was, this was the second chapter here, and they made the second chapter the day that Malcolm X got assassinated. You know what I'm saying? They started making this one, and a bunch of brothers signed up, starting from their little thing to a bunch of brothers, so they talking about how the brother was riding home, like the dude was just saying, that they was following him in the pickup truck and stuff like that, a bunch of Klan, like the brother was just saying. And so what he did was check it out, he positioned himself under the site of the bridge, After turning off his headlights, he took a sawed-off double-barrel shotgun, shells loaded with glass and cardboard, and waited for his pursuers to reach him. When their lights approached, he opened fire, surprising the driver. The Klan, their vehicle swerved, it missed the bridge, and ran into the water, clearing an escape. You know what I'm saying? And this is the brother here that did it. And this would make him become a part of their group. You know what I'm saying? So the next day, he went to go see Charles Sims in that area. In Louisiana, and shouts out to my people in Louisiana. And so he was like, yo, I can't do this no more. They out to kill me now. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to join the Deacons. So when a brother was like, realized he needed brotherhood, you know what I'm saying? They did all of these things, right? So he became one of the youngest members, So, and before I keep going with the article, I'll show you how they kind of expanded, let them, kind of tell. This is one of the brothers who, when they interview him.
About it or what we were going to do. We got together, the Deacons did, and we decided what we were going to do. That's the reason why it was so hard to get into the Deacons, because we were more secret than the Klan were. What we were going to do, we done it.
And that's something he was like, it's hard to get into their group because, look, it's real. You know what I'm saying? We don't need that coward behavior, none of that. And when we plan something, we go out there and we do it. Now, of course, things like this have a way of, we'll get to that,
We didn't go talk about it. If I went to a meeting and come back, my wife didn't ask me nothing about it because I wasn't going to tell her.
Not even my wife. And now it's messing up. It's probably going to mess up on me. So y'all give me a minute because what he's saying is important. But you realize, even his wife didn't ask nothing about the meeting. You sure, you know what I'm saying? You going, as a wife, you probably worried about your husband, what could go down and all of this stuff. But even he didn't even tell her anything, right? Because what was in the meeting stayed in the meeting. You know what I'm saying? But, I guess we'll just, I definitely don't want to play it. But here we go.
Okay. And if I got ready to go out to do something, I remember they had the largest Ku Klux Klan's convention right out here between here and Hodge paper mill.
Between here and where?
Hodge, where the paper mill is.
Yes.
It's about 2 miles from here.
Okay.
They had a big convention down there, and they got several days getting ready for it. And they cut out a gum tree about this big around. I guess it was probably 30 foot tall. And they cut
gum tree?
A gum tree. And they made a cross out of it. And wrapped that gum tree in crocosite burlap, as y'all call it, and put some kind of diesel fuel or something on it anyway. But they stood it up there, and that was a symbol. Okay, so when the meeting got started up there, they lit the cross. But we knowing what the cross was representing when they put it up there. So me and one of the other guys got together. I got my brother. I wouldn't go in one of my vehicles. I got a high-power rifle with an infrared scope on it. Other guy, he got up there next to the road and laid down. Well, I could see it, and he would let me know when there's traffic and all this stuff. And I was back on the railroad track laying down with the high-power rifle. When the meeting got started, he let me know it was time to shoot. I shot the arms off that cross, in about 15 minutes wasn't nobody out there. Yeah. So
you did what?
I shot the arms off that cross. I had infrared scope on it at night. Infrared scope. Shot the arms off that cross. See, I'm shooting a 30-30 Winchester. Huh?
While it was burning?
While it was burning. Yeah. Yeah.
And what happened?
They dismissed. About 15 minutes, there wasn't nobody out there.
So you broke up a Ku Klux Klan rally.
Oh yeah, sure
That's
did.
what you're telling me.
I sure did.
All right, you heard him, right? And you got to understand, like, more and more people was joining them because you know you got to understand, like, they realized who their enemy was, and like, you know, it's ironic because if you see it, is another thing I wanted to show, but I didn't because it's like you might as well. They had a clan meeting, and it might, I think it's on here, but they had a clan meeting, and it might as well be the same thing as them talking about it.
And if you
But
don't,
this is one of the ones who created the organization is talking about how they could just get on the phone and call some brothers over to come help protect them, and the brothers showed up.
and if you don't put them out, nobody in this house or this house will be alive tomorrow, and this house will be burned down. So he left, slammed the door, and immediately we began.
Oh, she talking about how the sheriff threatened him, you know what I'm saying, for having people in their house. And he was like, well, you know, I ain't telling them to leave till they ready to leave, you know what I'm saying? Get out of here, pretty much, you know. And he was like, I'm telling you, they got a mob down the street, you know what I'm saying? He was like, I don't care.
Making calls to black men, telling them what was about to happen. The sheriff and the police were still out here, and men came, black men with guns to protect and defend. And from that point, February 1st, 65, we had individuals, these same men, who protected, and on the 21st, made an oath that this one, they're not gonna kill this one.
All right, you heard that. It was like, yo, not here, not now, you know what I'm saying? They just said, yo, it is what it is, you know. All right, so, and the thing is, right, so during the meeting, he outlined, this is in the second group, you know what I'm saying, the one in Beluga, you know what I'm saying? And the first one was in Jonesboro, Louisiana, right? So he outlined the goals for the new organization that focused on protecting Black communities from the marauding Klansmen and defending civil rights workers, white or Black. You know how we do. But we can update information now, like protect our own first before anybody else, right? And, you know, so of course there was differences between them. But the thing is, and I don't know where but these was brothers who just said, they just sat there in the meeting and they was like, you know what, I'm tired of it. Let's go out there and go buy some guns, do the things that we got to do. They bought ham radios, you know what I'm saying? And it's going to talk about that. So we're going to get into that, you know. And matter of fact, yo, so matter of fact, I'll show it now because okay, yeah, so they talking about the clashes that they had with CORE because they was talking about some nonviolent, all of this stuff, you know, and they was talking about Martin Luther King, you know, but what they don't tell you is, yeah, Martin Luther King was using the Deacons of Defense to protect their rallies from the Klan, especially in some of these dangerous areas. You see, when he went to other areas, they was extremely violent, but the Deacons of Defense was there, you know what I'm saying, making sure that they was all right, you know what I'm saying? And so, and I'll show you that now, you know. Well, I guess not, you know.
Horrifying things.
The Ku Klux Klan ran the town. I can remember crosses being burnt.
You were frightened and you were afraid when you saw that. It did what they wanted it to do. It did scare you.
But their dad made them believe that everything was going to be all right, like good fathers do.
He was one heck of a man.
Otis Martin Sr. was born in 1925.
Remember, the brother in the movie was named Otis, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know if it's, you know what I'm saying, loosely based or whatever. But I was with Otis in the movie, that's for sure.
In 1925, Mr. Martin was a military man. After proudly serving in the Army, he went on to work at a paper mill, which was not too far from home, fulfilling his responsibilities to take care of his family and to protect them, but not just them. It was the 1960s. The civil rights movement was marching on. As the violence and torture...
Seeing them brothers walking on the sideways, not smiling, not doing none of that stuff, they was understanding what you had to do to protect those marches. They don't tell you that Martin Luther King realized, oh yeah, I do need some armed protection while we practice, you know what I'm saying, what we do. But yeah, brothers was definitely protecting it.
Marching on. As the violence and torture perpetrated against black people and those who stood alongside them, like the Congress for Racial Equality, well, the dangers they all faced from the Ku Klux Klanmen and some lawmen was abominable, and no one was doing anything about it. No one was trying to stop it until this day.
A group of black men who gathered together July 10th, 1964, at a church in Jonesboro, Louisiana.
Their father, Otis Martin Sr., was one of them, one of the founding members of the Deacons for Defense and Justice.
They were formed to protect the civil rights groups that were coming to town. They selected people who were familiar with guns, people that was from the Korean War, World War II. They gathered them together and they started the group with, and they were the first civil rights group to carry guns openly.
The men would take turns protecting our corner to stop people from coming to burn crosses on it. And I remember plainly sitting out on top of his pickup truck with him, watching the corner to make sure that no one came to burn crosses on it.
It had to be a secretive group because they had jobs and they could have lost their jobs if people had known who was a part of the group.
Now the thing is, the KKK, had to put on masks, but these brothers did not put on masks, you know what I'm saying? They was out there patrolling their neighborhoods, you know. And we do know some of them because, like, you know, they weren't afraid to, because people knew who they were, you know what I'm saying? And they just got tired of it and was like, once they already crossed that boundary, which, like you said, like dude in the beginning, you know, like, I mean, what it is anyway, you know, like what's life if we can't even protect our own or have our own stuff or do the stuff that we got to do? And at what cost are you willing to pay to achieve it? You know what I'm saying? And these brothers did not hide, you know, and, you know, they were celebrated and they were heroes and they went out there and protected the communities, you know. And a lot of their children were involved in when these organizations would come to town and telling them nonviolence, but they're not just gonna let their kids get beat up like that or killed or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just how it was, you know.
There were some strong, brave men who was dedicated to their families and their country. And even the country, even though the country was doing nothing for them, they were dedicated to their country. All of them, you know, were law-abiding. They were just some outstanding men. It fills you with a sense of pride that you have history that you can pass on
to their children and their grandchildren, like Taisha Vincent. Taisha is a producer here at Channel 7. And when she shared this part of herself, her history, the story of her great-grandfather, Otis Martin Sr., with us, we wanted to share it with all of you.
It's always been important to me to know more about where I come from. For me, it's always been...
Now, to the Maggie L. Walker dude, like, now we can accept this descendant here, like, not to be funny, but yeah, I believe this is I would have to check the reports with you.
About having the knowledge and being able to share it with others. But I hope that at some point in my career, I get to say that I made a difference. I want to be able to contribute just as much as my ancestors did. I have to make their sacrifices worth something. Otherwise, it was for nothing.
We are all...
Yeah, and what she said there is important because what is true, you know, like look into like what your grandparents did, you know, even if you don't know, or I don't know how old you are, you probably gotta say great grandparents did in the 20s, 30s, 40s, up to the 60s, you know what I'm saying? Like look at what they did, and you will see like they had to go hard to do what they did, you know. Like like I look at my grandmother had businesses. She always was a way of getting what she had to go get, you know what I'm saying? And she came from the country where it's still cotton growing out there right now. But you know, that's important, right? So they did also help them, you know what I'm saying? So they patrolled at night, you know, so yeah, this is it. They communicated on radio and walkie-talkies. This was just regular brothers that armed themselves and they got walkie-talkies so that they can be in communication. And they was like, man, if somebody attack you, just run over there and yell help, you know. And of course, it was a war because they both was there was a lot of veterans who came back who learned how to fight and who was down to fight because, like I said, it was their children that was protesting. My bad. All right, so listen, and this is the thing. At the first meeting in Beluga, or whatever, sources told the FBI the general tender of the talk was that Negroes should arm themselves not only for defensive purposes, but they should have patrols so that if a Negro was being arrested by a police officer, other Negroes would come to the aid of the person being arrested. Right. So these brothers went over there, like if they seen somebody getting arrested or the police doing something, brothers stood there armed, you know what I'm saying? And within the law, you know, even practicing their law, right? Just to make sure that these brothers didn't get harassed or their rights weren't violated, because armed black men seems to be an intimidating um thing for a lot of people, and I know a lot of people don't even want to talk about it, right? So you know they aided, and you know what I'm saying, when people was there, you know what I'm saying, like they ended police brutality there. um he said that if the KKK and white people generally wanted violence, then they intended to combat violence with violence, right? In other words, protect themselves. So, you know, this is one of the brothers here. So, you know, and also they wanted to, you know, get jobs as managers and jobs that'll pay more because, you know, like working there, like you making the less, you can't be a manager. And they were like, hey, well, if you will become a manager over Negroes, one day is going to happen where you are a manager over a white person or an alien, you know. But so that was one of the things, and they was just not down to do it, you know what I'm saying? So they was like, you know what, I don't care, we're not stopping until, you know, you do what we say. Right now, again, like with the Montgomery boys boycott, you know, instead of directing your energy, you could have been aiming it into like, okay, well, we're gonna like pay these gypsy drivers or black drivers, and we're gonna play to put in to get our own bus system so that we can work on our own schedule, and it'll probably work better because they'll go to where a lot of us are, and we won't have to walk as far, right? So this is another thing that happened, right? Because people got tired, right? And it was a sheriff, a black sheriff, a deputy sheriff named O'Neill Moore, right? And they don't really tell his story, so I'm gonna go find it, you know. But he and another brother, you know what I'm saying, was some of the first, or probably the first black sheriffs, black police down in Louisiana, and they ended up getting murdered. Now they was like I'm gonna try to say it off the top of my head, but it was like a pickup truck that had followed them and kind of threatened them before, and then you know they went past, and so like they got a prank call where like they told them to come out and it was like a dumpster fire, and they thought it was nothing, but it was really a setup, because when they was coming back, the same pickup truck came back and shot at them. And the other brother, he got killed, but he lived long enough to call. Well, I think he survived it, but he was able to call for help. But the other brother, O'Neal Moore, you know what I'm saying, died. And, you know, of course, it was the KKK who did it, but nobody was ever arrested for it, you know. And they don't tell you the story of this, you know, but, and as I tell you the story, I want you to see like some of these sites that was, this is the funeral for that, for the brother here, you know what I'm saying? And these was the first, black sheriff, like, damn, there's 100 commercials on this damn funeral, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, as you see, you know what I'm saying, like the brother, they got ambushed, he got shot, you know what I mean? And it pissed a lot of people off, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people in the black communities like, oh, we finally got a black officer, and you know what I'm saying, the KKK like straight killed him, you know what I'm saying? So you see, it was a big thing then. Let me see if you're talking. There's one point where they talking.
See people, a wonderful family, the Nichols family, Christian family, and prove that he also was reared in a Christian home. It's not so often that you see people marry that can equally yoke up together. So many times people after marriage, served about a year. That says there, says, they're dead, and corruptible bodies of those who sleep in him shall be changed. Made like it on your glory that has been placed and deposited in the grave of our deceased brother.
Right. So, you know, these was some black, the first black officers who got assassinated, and now they finally, like in a couple years ago, finally even talking about it.
Nearly a half century after Washington Parish Sheriff's Deputy O'Neal Moore was ambushed and murdered in Varnado, the parish's first African-American deputy will finally be honored this May. And as North Shore reporter Heath Allen shows us, the memorial is long overdue.
The memorial began as a tribute to Deputy O'Neal Moore, killed 48 years ago in ambush here in Washington Parish, a case that was never solved. But the tribute now has become so much more.
And by the way, they knew who did it. They arrested it. And I'll go back to it. It'll say it in the story.
I'm still looking forward to, them finding out who did it.
The night her husband was murdered is never more than a memory away. Deputies O'Neal Moore and Creed Rogers were ambushed and shot in Varnado, June 2nd, 1965. Rogers survived, but the first African-American deputy in Washington Parish history was slain, a civil rights murder never solved.
But I try not to just dwell on that. That makes you a evil and mad person to dwell on stuff like that.
Listen, we cannot correct one.
Sometimes you need to be mad to correct it from happening so that, it don't keep happening.
Happen in the past, but we can sure remember it and impress upon our.
Randy Seal keeping a promise to create a memorial to Memorial. But the tribute.
So, and then they got this dude to do it. So, right. And so, yeah, he was shot in the shoulder. The other brother was shot in the shoulder and blinded in the eye when his head hit the window, And so an hour later, a Klansman, Ernest Rayford McLevin, was apprehended by the police in Mississippi. And he was charged with the murder, but due to a lack of evidence, he was never convicted. So they know who did it. And the FBI closed its investigation into the other Klansmen in 2016 by the way, after identifying 24 persons, right? So let me see what else. All right, so 2 days before the brother was the killing, he had secretly met with the police, like they was not something different. Had met with the Klan and tried to tell them, you know what I'm saying, like but anyway, so then this is why them brothers was like they would have KKK meetings like the brother was saying earlier. And on July 8th, the black community was protesting that the murder of the cop that we just saw, right? So during the march, an onlooker threw a rock that hit young sister Hattie Hill, a 16-year-old girl, in the back of the head, and a mob of like white boys protected her. I mean, like blocked her path to get to the ambulance, you know. So, you know, they went over there to help her, you know what I'm saying? And then it started getting crazy. Right. And in the movie, right, you would see like at the end, they had the Klan and them walking up together and all of them were armed. But the thing is, the movie tried to act like the police tried to intervene because they didn't want to stop their job. The police was the Klan too, right? And nothing stopped them. They start shooting, and guess who won? You know what I'm saying? The Deacons of Defense ran the KKK off. You know what I'm saying? So let me show you, and this better explain it. It's better than I can say it, apparently. And then we almost at the end. But yeah, I just wanted you to see a lot of stuff. It ain't even. This is the Klan rally. Well, this is the people protesting with the black cop getting killed. You know what I'm saying? That's the police ain't doing nothing. All right.
Miss McKissick to lead us in prayer, and then
of course, black people praying. All right. Black people singing. All right. We got that right. I'm pretty sure we've seen enough of that. Oh yeah. This is the Klan. I'm trying to gear up for their side of the war with their Confederate flags and stuff. And they rallies, you know what I'm saying? Now, no matter how deep they were, they got ran up out of there. Like the brother said, somebody should have called him about this meeting and shot the crosses off this one. Scattered the whole place.
they do not have the Constitution of the United States.
Now, tell me this don't sound like some
Great privilege and a pleasure to have this opportunity to come before you tonight in hopes that we might enlighten you and bring about an edification of Klancraft, which in itself, I'm sure that many of you have gazed upon your neighbors as they are going about their daily activity, and you'll notice that each and every citizen is dragging their feet, and they appear to have a gigantic load upon their shoulders. On occasions, they are being led down the blind alley to cover up the real issues involved.
All right, trying to say, well, now it's the same argument when they make like, oh, well, you, the real white people, is the real victims of racism by forcing this nonsense on us. And this is basically, you know, today they boycott Bud Light, but this is what they used to do, right? Pretty much.
And I'm sure that the northern section of Florida, Georgia, and part of the Carolinas was to be established at the point.
All right, so no matter how many people they had, right, this was the outcome here, you know.
They had gathered a group of armed men, all trained and ready to defend themselves and their community. As they approached the rally site, they could see the Klan members gathering, their hoods and robes making them look like a menacing army. The deacons stood their ground, watching as the Klan members started to march towards them, chanting hateful slogans and waving Confederate flags. The tension was palpable, and everyone knew that a clash was inevitable. The two groups met in the middle of the street, and the air was filled with the sounds of shouts and screams. Suddenly, shots rang out, and chaos erupted. The deacons had opened fire on the Klan members, and the Klan members were firing back. In the midst of the gunfire and chaos, one of the deacons saw a group of Klan members approaching a nearby church, where a group of black children were attending a Sunday school class. Without hesitation, he ran towards the church, determined to protect the children. He burst through the doors, his gun at the ready, and found himself face to face with several Klan members. Without a second thought, he fired, taking them down one by one. The other deacons, seeing what was happening, ran to the church to help. The scene was a bloody mess, with bodies littering the street and the air thick with smoke. But in the end, the deacons emerged victorious. They had shown the Klan that they were not to be trifled with, and that they would stop at nothing to defend their community. As they left the scene, one of the deacons couldn't help but think about how far they had come. They had started out as a small group of men, determined to fight back against the Klan, and now they were a force to be reckoned with.
All right, because we got that dumb music anyway, all right? But, yo, that's true, so they ended up shooting him, and it was like he tried to fire a warning shot, but the shots did not deter the mob. And by then, they was like a white boy got shot, and then the police finally started coming over there after the white boy had got shot, So they charged the brothers with aggravated battery, and then they transferred them because they was like, oh, well, the Klan is going to hang them. But they only charged and arrested the brothers for the shootout, even though, like you saw, like the part where they probably met in the street, in the movie is kind of probably a good depiction. But in the movie, they act like the police was like, oh, let's stop this and help the black people. No, they were not. You know what I'm saying? You know who stopped it? It was the brothers. And they ain't going to show that in the movie. The brothers shot at them like, yo, back up. And then they didn't back up. And so they say, okay, you think we playing? Like other brother said in the movie, this is not a game. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot different now. Yes, it is, And, this is the police and them boys that they put down, you know what I'm saying? Because he was out there wilding out, you know what I mean? So he's talking about a standoff, but he said once they realized that we were serious about the shooting, it basically became a standoff in the whole community for the whole time. He was like, it's not like the old days where you could just drive in a black neighborhood and everybody start hiding from you and you drag out whoever you want. Like today, you'd be like the police with everybody standing around watching like, oh my God, don't do that, and scared to do anything. He said it was not like that anymore, and they realized it. He said when there's some opposition, it's not any fun anymore, right? Because when you finally in a position to challenge them, it's not fun. It's not a game no more. You know what I'm saying? But, that's just how it works, I guess, with life, So, I think that's it from this one. And so they was talking about when they was guarding them, you know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. And, of course, that's when the FBI got involved, you know what I'm saying? Because once they started seeing these brothers was not playing and they was laying these white boys out, you know what I'm saying, and making them run. And after they formed and started shooting back, it was like the first time they realized they existed. They thought they could just run up because they saw them gathering. And so they tried to come back and shoot up the office or neighborhood or whatever it was. And brothers started shooting back and they was like, oh, what the hell? And pulled off and ran off, And once white people start getting laid out, you know what I'm saying, then of course the FBI and good old J. Edgar Hoover, you know what I'm saying, was like, oh, well, these people must be stopped. Anything that threatens the American way or something like that. I should have remembered what he said because, you know, that's an important part of it. But, you know, he was like, anything that threatens the American way must be stopped immediately. And they said these brothers protecting, and in the movie, and they ain't play that part, but he was like, man, I was just protecting my daughter. I can't do that. And the cop looked at him and was like, nope. And that is not a joke. You know what I'm saying? They were like, you better not touch this cop who's beating up your daughter. But them brothers was like, nah, forget all that. He was like, that night, a brand new Negro was born. You know what I'm saying? So he was, but of course, J. Edgar Hoover and them got involved, and then they tried to infiltrate them, of course, right? But let me show you. And it's pretty much
recordings just
similar, but
we can perhaps be expected in any state, any city, in any town in our nation, where you have a small minority of each race
now it's a problem because two Negroes and shot a white man.
determined to,
Now it's everybody, like they say today.
it looks like, to
Now,
just head straight into violence, into chaos, and disorder.
Now, when he said small group, he forgetting one part that they're talking about the police, all right, and the KKK who think they can roll up and shoot them, and the police ain't arresting them. Now it's small groups. They wish that the Deacons was a small group because black men was like, yo, nah, in that area, they was not, like they said, it wasn't a boycott, and they was not letting brothers step out of line, get off of this quote unquote code that we supposed to have had. You know what I'm saying? Now we could create it, but you know, change some things to where we like, okay, let's make the bus for us instead of trying to make it fair to ride their buses. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, they was not having their children being beat down. Like they was not letting their wife be raped and all of that stuff. Like you heard when they was like, man, they heard the police was messing with the sister. They went up there and made sure everything was good.
The tragic thing, and of course, there's no excuse whatsoever for
now it ain't no excuse.
Shooting of any individual. I'm not completely fresh on my law, but I remember enough of it.
I don't even know.
To know and to be able to say that shooting another person with a pistol when you're being attacked with nothing but your fist is inexcusable.
Now this is 1964 stand your ground laws that we talking about.
And there's no defense. Our state police were there. I don't think that it could have been prevented. We'd had 5 times as many we had because they were there so fast and so quick that they actually caught the man with a pistol in his hand. Colonel Burbank tells me that our state police were within about 30 feet of it when it started. They just bang, 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 and it was over. And if we'd had twice as many, we doubt if we could have stopped it. As I say, when you have people going around armed, whether white or colored, instant that'll incite them and arouse them.
And now it's a problem.
Expected someone's going to get hurt.
Now
Awful shame
them getting hurt
because those people over there, the white and the colored, who are determined to have violence.
Oh my bad! I thought this was 2023. He's saying this. It's not. It's 1964. I'm sorry.
Who are determined to take the law in their own hands, represent such a very, very small, minute minority of the total population of each race in our state. I just know that the overwhelming majority of the colored people of our great state of Louisiana condemned the act over there yesterday just as much as the white people do. Let it be said for the colored people in Bogalusa that as of yet, Young and Sims, those group over there who say they're such great men, have not been able to get a single solitary teacher or preacher or any other colored person in that community of any education whatsoever to join them in their demonstrations and their marches.
Yeah, and I say this because it's different when the Negro got the gun, especially because that's what they're scared of now is a damn press conference.
Their determination to get what they
before that, oh well, we can't do nothing about that when it's the Klan. And believe me, what they get wrong about the white savior they gotta import, trust me, they will they would say him instead of John. They still say that them Jews that got killed down in Mississippi, and as like Miss Khalid Muhammad said, I don't know why they were there, and you don't know why they were there. But one thing that we do know is that these organizations was completely against, you know what I'm saying, standing up. They was teaching young black children how to get beat up a lot, you know what I'm saying, these white saviors. And like, no, we don't want an armed revolution. We don't want you to actually be able to protect yourself. But it's this abolitionist syndrome because, you know, they just evolved into like Jane Elliott's, but you know, that's how they were back then.
Exactly don't know. The demands they made on the mayor yesterday were things that the mayor, most of them, the mayor had no control over whatsoever.
Exactly. So he go on and on and on about how Maggie L. Walker grandson must have heard this before he went on when he's talking about a small few.
The colored people and helping their plight and Bogaloo, and they weren't demonstrating about integration of the schools. They haven't demonstrated about denial of voter rights. Interested in helping the colored people and helping their plight and Bogaloo in this state. They would get with the responsible, intelligent colored leadership of Louisiana. See, well, we're going to put him away. Third offense. What's that? Oh, yes. Yes, we have laws against inciting a riot, but
it's only when Negroes do something, then we're going to use them.
Very difficult to prove because the Deacons and Young's group claim that they just want to march. They don't want to riot. We know what we're going to do over there this afternoon if they insist.
And they kept saying, please do. And they was just like, no, what you going to do? All right, because the Klan tried to force, no, the Klan get ran back. So they try to reach out, you know what I'm saying? This is the other part of the civil rights they don't tell you because you think they was just listening to them. They was like, nope, the other side of it is an armed revolution. So we better listen to these other fools and put Martin Luther King and nonviolence in the forefront so other Negroes don't get this silly idea of protecting themselves, you know what I'm saying, using the American value of Second Amendment right, but no, the right to be able to defend your own life, nobody can give you or take away. So they try to be like, oh, well, work with us, just give up your guns and we'll talk about, you know what I'm saying, letting you become managers and stuff at your jobs and paying you more, you know, like, and they was like, no, we've been talking this whole time, put down our guns so we can talk. Tell them to go put down their guns, right? Because of course, who they tried to come to, right? Those quote unquote politicians, right? It was like, tell them to put down. They was like, no, you put down yours. But they don't do this until you start seeing white bloodshed and a lot of Klan losses where the FBI had to intervene and help these red Peckerwoods or whatever down there.
No marching. We'll just have to approach it when we get to it. We don't think.
All right. So, all right. That's the end of that, you know. And right. So, and this is another one that I wanted to show too before we get out of here because this is important. This brother too, Robert F. Williams, right, who is the president of it, because the dude mentioned the NAACP. Right, who the great Ida B. Wells, who was a part of the founding of it, was the very first one calling it out because she realized the hell is the white boy doing in charge, you know what I'm saying? And she ended up having beef with a lot of people, even W.E. Du Bois behind that, you know what I'm saying? And so this brother here, Robert F. Williams, you know what I'm saying? Now, he was in the NAACP, but he transformed his local chapter into an armed self-defense unit after a trial. And I played that at the beginning where the sister got practically raped. They used to make black women dance to humiliate them and roll up. And so, you know, the brothers was like, and she had like real brothers, and then brothers in the neighborhood was like, man, let's kill this dude. And Robert F. Williams was like, no, it's in the hands of justice. We're gonna let their system. And then they let the white boy go. You know what I'm saying? Because he was like, oh, well, he got a white wife. Why would he want this black N-word be, you know, because that's what they called it. And the judge let him go. And so after that, Robert F. Williams said, you know what? I can't tell these women not to defend themselves. Like, if the next time, smoke their ass, you know what I'm saying? Do what you got to do. So yeah, let me play this, brother.
Reality is that America is not God. America is not the end of the earth, and it doesn't matter what the Americans think. In the final analysis, the truth will come out. While I advocated violent self-defense, because I don't think you can really have a defense against violent racists and against terrorists unless you're prepared to meet violence with violence.
Gunpoint. Yeah, I should watch this
the jig is like a puppet,
documentary.
you know, when you're dangling the puppet on the string, you're completely reduced then. They're participating, but they
I'm trying to play a specific
was
part.
just
unthinkable. Area of Union County. And when they talked about Rob Williams, we were really young children, and we had mixed feelings about who this man was. Of course, I had a fear for him and for what it might do for the community, because I lived in a predominantly white community out in the country. And the men and women talked very openly about how they felt, what they thought this strange person was doing to upset the normalcy of our community.
And they were scared. All right,
the
pretty
jig
much.
is like a puppet, you know, when you're dangling the puppet on the string, you're completely reduced then to nothing. And that's one thing that helped set that first thing off.
Rob had these guns, high-powered rifles. You know, all we had was 22s and 410 shotguns hunting, you know, and got a chance to, you know, to use the high-powered weapons and become proficient with them. And he taught us a little, what they call it, karate or self-defense things, you know. We drilled with him and trained with him. I guess he weighed like maybe 220 for the time. That was pretty big. And he was strong now. Rob could have handled himself now, I'm gonna tell you. You know, he could have handled himself.
Oh, Jim Crow!
Right downtown, go everywhere Rob where he kids 45 right now. Now where he used it now, I don't know. But I guess people felt the same way like I felt. They didn't know. So they didn't bother Rob.
Threatened with death, he walked down the street wearing a pistol on his belt, which would be a normal white Southern thing to do. White Southerners, their rights challenged, will react with vehemence and force. But for a black man to act as an equal in that way was just unthinkable.
He found humor in dealing with the Klan on the telephone.
Yo, see, this is probably something I would do.
He found humor in dealing with the Klan on the telephone. People would call with threatening calls. I remember one time he heard one of the Klansmen call his own wife's name, Stella, or something like that. Stella, be quiet. I'm trying to talk to this nigger, or something like that, you know. And so the next time he called, Rob said, "How's sweet Stella doing?" And the man said, "What do you know about Stella? I'd soon kill Stella as to kill you."
He said, "I kill this N-word lover as soon as I kill you."
Nigger, something like that, you know. And so the next time he called, Rob said, "How's sweet Stella doing?" And the man said, "What do you know about Stella? I'd soon kill Stella as to kill you."
And
donation to buy a rifle for the protection of our community.
And see, this is one of the issues, you know what I'm saying? Because you do have to have a family that is prepared, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just go half-hearted. And like I talk about Mega Everest, like the wives of you know what I'm saying, these brothers have to realize, you know, you could get firebombed and any of that kind of stuff. And these brothers was like, yo, I have to do what I have to do. And you know, the sisters was like, yo, okay, I feel you, and let's support it, because like in warfare, everybody got to go in.
And that really is the American norm.
I wouldn't go nowhere without one. So yeah, we had to have guns because they had them. And that's the only way we repelled them, is because we outgunned them.
We had lots and lots of guns around the house all the time. Rifles, especially after we organized our rifle club, people would send us $26 donation to.
Now, peep that, right? She said after we organized our gun club, people would donate money. They may not want to be in the you know what I'm saying, group, but they would donate their money to help them get the weapons or the tools or whatever it is that they need. You know what I'm saying? And when they are out there getting results, you know, I'm telling you, if you build it, they will come. I believe that, you know, but it's difficult to build it. But it's these brothers was like, yo, I'm tired of it. You know what I'm saying? Let's go out and get these guns and get some walkie-talkies. And if you being ambushed, call somebody. And they set up a system to where, like, if something is happening, then call somebody, you know. And consider you talk about the number now. Yo, what's going on, Shanique? Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. You know, I had to talk about the history of the Deacons of Defense. You know, I haven't been able to do the Black History thing, but this is just a thing we're gonna get to eventually. But yeah, like these brothers had a network to where they could just call or reach out, you know, to each other, and then they would just come over there and show up, and then it became an issue. Like it wasn't an issue when their children was being beat up, and you see all the videos of all the stuff that was happening to their kids, but in these areas that was not happening, because after these brothers came together, guess what happened? Crime went down significantly. Cooning went down significantly because they had enforcers in the community. These brothers patrolled the blocks not only for outsiders, you know what I'm saying, but for people violating within, you know what I'm saying. But they did it for what, you know, the right reasons, and that's up to you. But you see, she said, oh, they put together a gun club, and people who didn't want to be involved donated money.
Lots and lots of guns around the house all the time.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a minute. I was thinking about y'all, like where y'all been at.
Rifles, especially after we organized our rifle club, people would send us $26 donation to buy a rifle for the protection of our community.
Oh yeah, this is what I want to show you, right? This young brother here, you know what I'm saying, and this is, you know, some of that. And probably take it off all this music.
And some white girls and boys playing in a vacant.
So they call it the kissing case. Negro child in jail for kissing a white girl.
One evening in October of 1958, there were two black boys and some white girls and boys playing in a vacant lot in Monroe. And on toward evening, a kissing game ensued. Someone kissed someone.
Well, nobody had seen it, but the girl just had made a casual remark to her mother that she had kissed Hanover. And then the mother got all excited and started scrubbing her face, and called her father, and he threatened to kill him, go kill him, and got his shotgun.
And that should have been like, he should have been scrubbing his face. Ain't no telling where she been.
Police went looking for them too. They found the two little boys, arrested them, beat them, locked them in the basement of the jail for 6 days without being able to see their parents or talk to an attorney. Terrified them. It so happened that Halloween, it was October 28th, and then on Halloween, the police officers put on sheets and came down into the basement of the jail where the children were being held, thinking it would be real funny to terrify them, because the children knew that the Klan was outside calling for their.
See, and he's trying to make it like a joke. Like they probably came from a damn Klan rally, because even in the movie with the Deacons of Defense, you know, they try to make it seem like the police worked with the Klan. They were the Klan. Like they didn't infiltrate the police. They are the police. You know what I'm saying? Like I think we understand that, you know, and they trying to like, oh, it's funny. These are the very police that they try to act like was helping black people. They had these young boys down there for days without any attorney, not being able to see their parents. He's like 10 years old or something, 8 years old, little boys, you know what I'm saying? Because some white girl said, oh, I kissed a little black boy today, and her mom got mad. And it's crazy.
So funny to terrify them, because the children knew that the Klan was outside calling for their blood.
Oh, snap. She said she's traveling with an orchestra. That's what's up. Yeah, that's dope.
And they had to teach these boys early that they just couldn't expect to cross the color line in sex.
There were 2 separate hearings, one for the white families and one for the black boys. And then the local judge sentenced the boys to reform school for a period not to exceed their 21st birthday. Now, they were 8 and 10 years old.
Now, 8 and 10 years old, they sent them away for a period not to exceed 21. That's 12 and 10 years, 11 years, you know what I'm saying? 13 years for kissing a little girl. And the paper talking about the governor, the sentence, it says the sentence is fair and justified. You feel me?
In sex.
There were 2 separate hearings, one for the white families and one for the black boys. And then the local judge sentenced the boys to reform school for a period not to exceed their 21st birthday. Now, they were 8 and 10 years old. He turned into kind of a one-man press office for the kissing case, and he managed to get this out onto the front pages of newspapers all over the world. Things about the kissing case is that it brings Rob to a kind of national and even international recognition.
Right. And so y'all should definitely check out, you know what I'm saying, this video here, you know what I'm saying? It's definitely a good joint. Like, you know, there's a lot of stuff that I could play in it, but you know, I'm not, you know. Oh, I'll play this part.
Black women, what are you going to say now? What are we going to do now? And that's when he made that statement.
I made a statement that if the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution cannot be enforced in this social jungle called Dixie, it is time that Negroes must defend themselves, even if it is necessary to resort to violence. That there is no law here, and there is no need to take the white attackers to the courts, because they will be freed, and that the federal government is not coming to the aid of people who are oppressed. And it is time for Negro men to stand up and be men, and that if it's necessary for us to die, we must be willing to die. If it's necessary for us to kill, we must be willing to kill.
Right. And
Robert F. Williams, Afro-American refugee from racial oppression in the USA, former.
We must use whatever method in our possession. We must make use of the gas bomb, the lycan, the ice pick, the switchblade, the axe, the hatchet, the razor, the brick, and the bullet. Next year, we shall meet machine gun with machine gun, hand grenade with hand grenade, in a new spirit of meeting violence with violence.
Now, did you ever feel that what you were doing was in any way act of treason or unpatriotism towards your country, towards the United States of America, or had you abandoned America? Did you feel you were now a Cuban, or what?
No, I don't believe any man who lives under tyranny in a government can ever be truthfully accused of treason. Treason can only come when a man is entitled to the rights and privileges and he is protected by his government, and then he betrays that government, then he can be accused of treason. But when the government betrays its trust to its people, then the government is what is guilty, is the guilty party to treason. And I consider the government of the United States to have failed the black people in America in protecting the rights of black people and the enforcement of the Constitution.
All right. And y'all should definitely watch this, Negroes with Guns or Robert F. Williams, you know what I'm saying? Definitely somebody we definitely need to learn about. And also, this is his wife, you know what I'm saying? She was saying, I'm not going to really play it because, but this is our interview, but she was an active participant, not just a housewife,
They don't want to treat people like family, and they refuse to acknowledge the fact that they are family. Because we're so different, because we have that one bit of black blood, that makes us black.
So you think Robert had this way back, and his grandmother, I understand, was special.
Oh yeah, was his special person that he loved and taught him about world events and got him interested in reading newspapers early on. His brother also told me that his grandmother looked white. Yeah, he's lucky he didn't get shot. I remember reading.
All right, so I ain't gonna play that, and this is the last thing. So, and I'll put the link in there if you want to come on and talk about the Deacons of Justice real quick before we get off, because I'm gonna show you and like how their group, you know what I'm saying, kind of disbanded, because I think this is something like we can definitely learn from, and how what kind of stopped them, you know what I'm saying? So after the whole civil rights thing, a lot of the brothers was like, okay, well, we wanted these laws enforced. So once they get these laws to where the quote unquote integration and all that kind of stuff, a lot of brothers was like, okay, well, now I'm good and I don't have to keep going. And then we saw our communities be less protected. You know what I'm saying? We could be around them. No offense, but we can get white bitches now, you know what I'm saying? And white dudes now, So it was no reason to keep fighting, to protect these communities. Now we can just escape it, right? That's according to some. But that was a big downfall towards the end of it, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna play this last video on it, because yeah, that's one of the important things to remember, like what happened,
Some fear in blacks about the movement with that type of thing. Even though we were a Christian organization that went, had the preachers and all in at the time.
Deacons for Defense.
That was some fear in blacks about the movement with that type of thing.
Right, a lot of black people was scared, like, oh man, they gonna get us, they gonna do this, they gonna do that. What's gonna happen when the Klan come? And they didn't, because once these brothers was there, like the crime went completely down. The communities was protected. The KKK wasn't just trying them because they know if they ran over there, they was gonna get shot and go back on a stretcher if alive at all. Right, so crime dropped dramatically, and the traitors was dealt with in the community, all of that stuff.
With that type of thing. Even though we were a Christian organization that went, had the preachers and all in at the time during the movement. But
right, exactly.
Then after the marches and thing was over and you was going back home, you see, well, that was another thing with harassment and intimidation. You had to have some type of protection.
Today, Robert Hicks is a supervisor at this huge paper mill, one of less than a dozen black supervisors. Before the movement came to Bogalusa, not a single black was employed at a level above menial labor.
And see, this is the thing, right? They would. This is like you knowing your history, right? So you know the Highway Act and all of this stuff, and not let alone like the violence that was going on to where black men, and this wasn't the first self-defense group at that, you know what I'm saying, but this was definitely an important group, and these was just regular brothers who worked every day, had regular jobs, said, you know what, we just gonna buy some guns, ammunition, and some radios. We're gonna get out here and make sure that our children are safe no matter what they do. If they want to be a part of the protest, let them go be a part of protest, but they ain't taking no ass whipping for nobody. You know what I'm saying? And they was like, I'm going to protect my family. You know what I'm saying? And they also was working, and they want to be supervisors, managers, get paid for their labor. You know what I'm saying? Even if you, like, we know that now, we want to be paid for our labor and bring that back to our communities again. You know what I'm saying? And actually be able to pay these brothers to do this as a full-time job, because some of these brothers quit their jobs just to be able to do this, but it's hard to sustain a family when you're doing that. So like even making that a paid thing, you know what I'm saying, to where you know that your community is protected. You know what I'm saying? They take your dollars to protect their community, just like the Asians set up a store and take your money and go back to Chinatown. You know what I'm saying? Like you take their money and bring it back to your town. You feel me?
Own children joined student marches from the black high school to City Hall.
It's exactly why they broke it up. This was the last like kind of standing army generation. Like they had the NOI, these brothers, like black men was ready to fight. You know what I'm saying? It's like I tell you, 1965 was a crucial year between like what happened between then and where we are now, and how they combated it, and they used our compassion and love and wanted to be a part of everybody against us. You know what I'm saying? And it's been very effective ever since.
And they were often met by threatening mobs, police, and police dogs.
You have to understand that the make.
Now I'm gonna tell you something that's completely legal, right? Because like today, you can still like go out there and protect yourself. You know what I'm saying? And like,
And they were often met by threatening mobs, police, and police
right.
dogs from the black high school to City Hall. And they were often met by threatening mobs, police, and police dogs.
Right. So you can always protect yourself. Like earlier said, you can use your First Amendment right and to protect your Second Amendment right. And I agree with that. Like you have the ability to protect yourself. And I'm gonna tell you something, like you as a regular citizen have the right to go out. And even if you don't, I'm pretty sure you know somebody who can go out there and do that. You know what I'm saying? Where you can work with anybody that you want to work with, you know what I'm saying? And you have the right to defend yourself, right? You have the right to patrol your own neighborhoods, all of that stuff, you know what I'm saying? And it's nothing to really that can be infiltrated. You know, I know they had secret meetings because for a reason, you know what I'm saying? But I'm in this day and age, you know, it's different because they was in a community where they lived together and they broke those communities up. But today, you know, we are more separated and we need unity, yes, you know, but it's harder to attack. On the other hand, it's harder to attack a black community by dropping a bomb on it if it's not a one specific black community. It could be a black area, but it's not like it used to be to where you're more scattered now. And using that network, like in the movie, they showed the brother who had to connect to whatever, but there is a network that you could have, that you have access to all of these jobs and using the things for what we would understand the goal to be. But anyway, you have the right to do all this stuff yourself, right? And nobody can tell you that you don't because you live in America, right? Especially those in America. And if you live in your own country, you should make up rules so that you can.
You have to understand that to make the setup, the background of the whites in this area was Klan infested, orientated with a lot of prejudice. And the police department at that time, it was all white, predominantly white. And, you know, trying to get opportunities and advantages and do certain things as far as blacks picketing and marching and different things. This was a type of thing that they detested, and they tried to
Detested.
deter it any way they could. And the thing that the police officers, both local police and the parish sheriff department, just refused to protect us. And if a group of white wanted to agitate, the police would turn their backs and let them beat them up or do whatever they would to them. And then when it was over with, and the police would come and arrest the black.
Desegregation of the schools in Bogalusa led to the closing of all but one of the black schools.
See, and this is where it broke up here, you know what I'm saying? This is the part why I put this at the end, because this part is important. Listen to this. Like after desegregation, all of the black schools closed up, you know what I'm saying? And listen to one of the most important parts of not only losing your children to their, oh, especially their education system now, but listen to what happened to the black teachers. Right, and strong brothers who had that, like Casidra's talking about, having black men to go to these schools. Some like what these brothers did, just regular brothers who just got tired of it. Like they talking about CRT, but like we should, like I understand, like because MD2 is right. Like you need to be teaching your children yourself, but that's the whole purpose. You know what I'm saying? To create your own stuff. You get tired of it enough, and you control your own dollars. You see how they had the boycott, and you use the boycott with the muscle, and you put it together. You know what I'm saying? But not just boycott the boycott to put that into your own. Like, you know what? Forget this store. We could save the money, the 100-some thousand that we spend there every year to get our own. And I get it. They get it at a discount and all of that stuff. But at some point, the laws of nature have to take over. But listen to what happened to the black teachers.
To the closing of all but one of the black schools. At least 65 black teachers in the old dual school system lost their jobs as the price of integration.
With the system,
at least 20, how many is that?
As the price 65. Of integration. Black teachers in the old dual school system, at least 65 black teachers in the old dual school system lost their jobs as the price of integration.
With the system coming
up. There's price and there's cost. You know what I'm saying? The price of something, but is it worth the cost? Right? The price of integration costs black teachers and black stores. That's what it costed us. I'm not going to say whatever, but at the end of the day, looking back, that's what it costed us. And it cost us ability to easily put together a Deacons of Defense today, because it's so scattered. And we got Maggie L. Walker grandson out here these days, you know what I'm saying, talking about some Black Lives Matters. That he's detested by it. It's all over the place. And you lost 65 black teachers, which was the cost of integration.
One of the black schools. At least 65 black teachers in the old dual school system lost their jobs as the price of integration.
With the system coming up the way it is now, doing some of the things they're doing now, I'm afraid that a lot of things that we fought for during the 60s is going to be taken away from blacks.
1981, I'm afraid the things we did during the 60s is going to be taken away. And this is pre-crack epidemic here. It might be heroin and all that stuff, but it's pre-crack epidemic.
60s is going to be
in private prisons.
It wasn't until 1966 that this park in Bogalusa was integrated. That was long after the Voting Rights Bill was passed and the Civil Rights Bill was passed. As one resident here said, those bills just passed Bogalusa by. On special assignment in Bogalusa.
All right. So, yeah, man, I just wanted to show you that because that's where it came to an end at, you know what I'm saying? That's where we kind of got deterred or, you know what I'm saying, fell off. And after that, I don't know if we I can date white girls now, you know what I'm saying? I can go to their schools, you know what I'm saying? Mr. Jones got to accept me and let me, you know what I'm saying, tell Todd what to do. And I'm still not going to look Todd in the eye, but I can at least be a manager now. And I'm not trying to talk down on any of those positions. I'm just talking down on the mindset that we have and the positions that we have. Because just like in the movie, man, like people was in different areas of life that if you could work together, that's a whole network of different, not a wealth of knowledge. You know what I'm saying? As black people who are doctors, black people who are truck drivers, black people who are farmers, black people who know how to build stuff, black architects, you know what I'm saying? Black teachers, black dentists. There is a whole network of black people. It's just that we don't understand who our enemy is anymore. You know what I'm saying? And that was the role of the FBI, you know what I'm saying? Because Hoover and all of them said this is what we have to do, you know what I'm saying, to destroy it. And now, you know what I'm saying, it's difficult for us to get help in our hospitals because there was black hospitals in the 50s. All right. And our sisters not being listened to in the hospitals and all of that stuff. And when you try to integrate into a sick society, that might be the thing that you get is sick. You know what I'm saying? So man, yeah, I definitely wanted to just show that on the Deacons of Defense, you know what I'm saying? Like a little bit of history on that because they definitely interesting. And the movie's not gonna show it, but these brothers stood up to the Klan. They killed them. They sent them back. They stopped coming over there because if they know they was coming over there, at best they coming back with a limp. But that's if they coming back at all. Open your eyes, you know what I'm saying? But we don't want to see that, you know what I'm saying? But that's why it's difficult to. And by the way, Cassandra email is realminthebush@gmail.com. She's trying to put together some brothers who are willing to do some things to go into their schools and try to do some mentoring, or we could put together mentoring programs or anything that can like help our children, any ideas or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Especially our uh young black males, you know what I'm saying, young black men that's supposed to grow into men because, you know, like tragedy, you know what I'm saying, that happened here, you know what I'm saying, with the young brother in high school shot the other young brother and his father on graduation and at a graduation where innocent people is everywhere, you know what I'm saying? Like it's up to us to, if they're going to be Negroes with guns, learn how to point that into the right direction. And that's on the older generation to teach it. You know what I'm saying? It's on older women to show younger women the way. It's on all of us to do and play our role. You feel me? So whatever that role is, you know what I'm saying, that's your way of contributing. Most people ain't want to be a part of the Deacons of Defense, but a lot of people had guns and they would be willing to let them use them in the case of in the time of need, or they would donate money so that the group could get more, even if they didn't want to be a part. But you know, that's just how it works. You know what I'm saying? So you know, I definitely wanted to talk about that. And you know what? I'm gonna play this one more time for Raw. You know what I'm saying? I wish she would have, you know what I'm saying, came through because this is more evidence for y'all. And I played it at the beginning, but you know, I'm gonna play it again. You know what I'm saying? Because this is more evidence that Raw is right. You know.
Tell us why we should invest so heavily in that.
Survival. Survival of the species.
Do you think
no question about it.
You think eventually we'll colonize other planets and we'll leave?
Not in our solar system, because there's nothing here that will sustain us.
The sun to tear their ass
We
up.
got to develop the capability to go someplace where there is another Earth, and we know that they're out there. There's no question about that. They are out there, but they're a little ways out. I mean, 3.2 light years is the nearest one, which means we got to build a machine that goes a little faster than the speed of light, and that's going to be the big key.
And do you think there's extraterrestrials out there, Al, as well?
What?
Do you think there's?
You know, I've been asked that question hundreds of times. Do you believe in aliens? And I say, yeah. Have you ever seen one? I say, yeah, I have. Well, how have you seen them? Well, I said, I look in the mirror every morning because that's what we are. We are the aliens, but we just.
He literally said, "We are the aliens." He said, "Well, have you ever seen one?" And Raw might be right. I'm just saying, look at that history. They let in a whole different scenario. They let a pack of dogs loose in a church on a Sunday morning where people are just going to church, regular people, not even like protesters, just regular church. And they let a bunch of dogs in, you know what I'm saying? I talked about it a little while ago and we'll get to it, but I'm just saying they might be the damn aliens.
You ever seen one? I say, yeah, I have. Well, how have you seen them? Well, I said, I look in the mirror every morning. Because that's what we are. We are the aliens, but we just
are the aliens.
We just think we're the thing.
We just think they're somebody else, but we're the ones who came from somewhere else. Because somebody else had to survive, and they got in a little spacecraft, and they came here, and they landed, and they started civilization here.
And so, I mean, the sun doesn't. The only thing in the solar system that is the only sun that's not reflected burns them. That's crazy. The thing that sustains life in this whole universe.
Here, that's what I believe. And if you don't believe me, go get books on the ancient Sumerians and see what they had to say.
That's a whole different discussion now.
They'll tell you right up front.
You've blown that right open.
Yeah.
Sadly, we can't get into that.
It's like we're floating on the dark side.
So this was on Good Morning Britain. So on here some time back.
Skin people.
Oh yeah, consider it. And I have to play this because I'm probably never gonna find this video again. But you know, this is why we lost the Deacons of Defense here. You know what I'm saying? Because we got to do this, but you know.
Okay, can you elaborate as to why specifically black guys?
Yes, black guys are melanated, and I want my children to survive. And I know that the only way for them to survive in the future is for them to have melanin in their skin. So that's the way for me to, you know, make my legacy continue.
Okay, I
like that answer. As dweeb here. But yeah, consider we do. This is from we went from let me show you. We went from Deacons of Defense and Robert F. Williams to interviewing white girls on why they like us, and you hear what they said. I forgot where is that. And we went from, you know what I'm saying, Deacons of Defense to this, you know. And the loss of those 65 black teachers, you know what I'm saying, I think is something for, you know. But anyway, man, yeah, he was like, yo, that sounds like a great answer. You know, I'm glad you were honest with me. You can definitely have my seed create another mulatto class, create the Blasians next. But anyway, man, yo, I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get out of here. And shouts out to the Deacons of Defense, you know what I'm saying, for justice and whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, we are all we got, you know what I'm saying? And I know that it may sound crazy. And some of the downfalls was, you know what I'm saying, these white allies that we think is white allies, but they was some of the main ones against this. And how you think they was getting a lot of these informants, you know what I'm saying? And COINTELPRO, all of that stuff, you know, it stems back to this because they was another target. And these brothers didn't hide or anything like that. They just was like, yo, we're going to do what we have to do to protect our community. And the community put their stuff together. And I do believe if you build it, they will come. So they are definitely a great example. And we definitely got a shout out to them. So I definitely had to show that, you know what I'm saying? And I'm going to let a former one have the last words for the day, because that's only right. My bad, I'm getting all right. I'm gonna let him have the last words for the day. Hold on. So the computer's straight messing up now. That's all right. Hold on. All right, my bad, because it's wilding out now. All right, but yeah, I'm still gonna let him have the last words as soon as it start working again. All right, my bad.
And from that day forward, you always carried your pistol.
Always.
No matter where you went,
Where
who
I
you
went.
were with. So in some ways, you weren't listening to Reverend Rogers or Reverend Linton. They're telling you don't be carrying nothing.
Listen, I said then when I like to got killed that night, I could have got killed if I went on to the Carter. I would have got killed. And I said then, well, I'd rather for the police to catch me with it than the kid catch me without it. And that was my saying, and I stood to it.
Every time you marked, every time you went to a meeting, you thought you might get killed. What kept you going?
Because I had made up my mind that what we were doing was right, and if it cost me my life, I was just a dead man. I said, cause I'm dead anyhow, why I live? Can't do nothing you want to do. And so I just made up my mind, life or death, let it happen.
Was there ever a moment during this whole time period where you thought you might get killed?
Oh, I thought that every time I went out, every time I went to mass meeting, I said I may not get back home. Every time I went to a march or anything, we marched all over this country. Yeah, it's good. I went with the understanding that I might not get back home. But that didn't.
So every time you marked, every time you went to a meeting, you thought you might get killed. What kept you going?
What do?
Why'd you keep doing that? Because that's powerful.
Because I had made up my mind that what we were doing was right, and if it cost me my life, I was just a dead man. I said, cause I'm dead anyhow, why I live? Can't do nothing you want to do. And so I just made up my mind, life or death, let it happen. And I was like that. Tell the truth, I ain't much better than that now.
All right, yeah. So, definitely, peace out, everybody, I appreciate all of y'all for coming through, for watching, and we can learn some lessons. You know what I'm saying? Subscribe to Consider channel, and her email is in the thing if you want to help. You know what I'm saying? Reach out. My email is in the descriptions. If you want to help, then reach out to me. You know, or make up your own stuff if you don't trust nobody else. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Like, try to be like your ancestors, and you know what I'm saying? Realize, like, if nobody else do something, then nobody's going to ever do anything. We'll be in the same situation 1,000 years from now. I appreciate it, Consider. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we are all we got. You know what I'm saying? And until we realize that, then we'll keep doing the same thing over and over and over. And you see, history ain't much different. It's just how we respond to history has been changing, and we see what works and we see what doesn't. But as always, man, we have got to start standing for something, or we're going to keep falling for anything.